And welcome back to episode 2 of the Wellness Podcast. I'm your host, Highland Winnie, in the studio today with our program director, Connie Carr, and team member, Mike Wilber. Welcome to the show, guys.
Thanks.
So we're hitting episode 2. We had a really good response coming into today off of episode 1. Bunch of views. Thank you to everybody who tuned in. Made the reels really successful and got the word out. I know across the state, we've made some noise, and that's what we're here to do: spread the word of wellness. So, any reactions off the first episode?
I got from a lot of people that they loved hearing about what we're doing and just showing that we're out there spreading the word.
Yeah, I think it was pretty amazing in the amount of views that we got over the course of just like a week. Having over 2,000 views, it's pretty amazing for them.
Yeah, from going basically just to little sizzle reels that you would help create to a live show and then getting it out there. Yeah, week 1 was a definite success. But today, last week we had Georgian talking about the origins of the Hero program. Today is going to be a little deep dive into what you guys are all about. So, Connie, we'll start with you. Tell us a little bit about yourself.
So I came into the sheriff's office in 2024 as the wellness coordinator. I'm a licensed clinical social worker. I've been working in the field for over 20 some odd years. We're just going to say 20 some odd years because that's crazy to think about that. I have a background with first responders, family members. Growing up, I always wanted to be an officer. I said that's what I was going to do. So, but life had its own twists and turns. So I ended up becoming a mom, and then I went to school and became a counselor. In between that, I went to the police academy, graduated the police academy, and then decided that social work was where I wanted to be. And in 2024, I actually stepped out of working for everybody else and making everybody else money and started my own private practice, which lasted a couple months when I got this call to come to the sheriff's office, to the wellness unit. I was told about the wellness unit, and I was like, this is exactly where I was supposed to be, because I do have a passion for working with first responders. My husband is DEP, and he's been in fire and EMS and dispatch. So I've been around the game here, and I realized that it is our first responders that are fighting this battle alone. And as a social worker, if I could be there to help in any way, that's what I wanted to do. And that's why I jumped on the wellness train here. And I'm so excited that I got to be a part of this team.
And we're definitely lucky to have you. Mike, your journey into the department was a little bit longer. You had told me you went to police academy at 32. What led you into law enforcement and then eventually into the academy?
So for me, I was a volunteer fireman at age 16. I started up in Phoenicia Fire Department. I dealt with some pretty bad colds up there, being such a young person. And then I kind of rolled it into the EMS portion of it. I worked Shandaken Ambulance and Woodstock Rescue for quite a while. And I joined the National Guard. I became a medic in that. So I've always kind of been in the first responder realm. I kind of went to a call in Woodstock, and there was a subject that was involved in a shooting down in D.C. at one point, and it was kind of a psych call. And then I kind of talked him out of it, de-escalated the situation, and we were able to get him in custody. And the guys kind of like told me basically to say, hey, listen, you should become a cop. So something that was always in my mind, I just never pursued it and went for the college credits. And then I found out with my EMT and my military and stuff, they were able to send me to the academy. So I was fortunate enough, the police chief up there knew my family and basically provided me the avenue to go to the academy and supported me. And I joined Woodstock PD for a few years. I was up there 6. I worked the dispatch unit for a few years, did my homework at the academy full time, and then transferred down to the sheriff's office about 6 years after Woodstock. So I've been down in the sheriff's office for, I think, 12 years now. I got about 17 and change on the job total in retirement. But yeah, I've always been in the first responder realm. It just kind of ran in the family. Always enjoyed helping people. And I saw it when I went in and dealt with those bad calls, how I know George said it last episode, that it's always the suck it up, buttercup mentality, and that's how it always was.
Right.
But now getting into this and seeing this over the past few years as I got assigned to wellness a couple years ago, just it's a great program. It's much needed. You're starting to see this throughout the states, and how a whole bunch of other agencies are really pushing it, and it's coming down from now at the state level. So I think it's pretty good. It's definitely a great program, and it's helped me process things from really deep calls from a long time ago that brings up when I go to some of the CISMs call outs. But it's good to see that we can help other people. So
Yeah, we've all discussed at length at times those calls early in your career that kind of stick with you, and personal experiences. 25 years in, the way you deal with and process stuff now, as opposed to, like, for me, I started at 25, is way different. And I'm glad we have it now, and I'm glad it's taking off. And I think for the men and women that are going into the first responder field now, they don't have to go through the stuff we went through. They don't have to rub some dirt on it, suck it up, put it away, deal with it now, get it out, get some help for it, and help keep you a whole, better person, and not have that damage that a lot of first responders do have. Mentors. I know it's big along the way, either growing up or early in your career, having somebody that drew you to them, that somebody you leaned on for advice, help, inspiration. Connie, who were some of yours early on?
I think I have so many people that I've kind of looked up to and wanted to just either make them proud, or what they were doing made me happy. I'm named after my grandfather, and he was in World War II. He was in the Army Air Force, and I never got to meet him, but knowing that I was named after such an amazing man, that makes me strive to be a better person. And then my sister, if I didn't have her, she was such a strong role model for me growing up, and she helped take care of me. So I really look up to her, and just to strive to be the better person and always making someone happy. I always look at the people in my life that really just wanted to make people smile, do something good for people, and that's where I'm going.
How about you, Mike?
I think I always had family members. Like I said, I started really young in the fire department, so I always had a couple of cousins that I went through the fire department with that always supported it and that were always there and kind of got me involved with it. And then, I kind of grew up where I grew up. I always had like Wally Fulford and Chad Story up there, so I always kind of looked up to them. I always got a chance to play ball with them at the ball field. So knowing what they were doing and seeing the stuff that they were doing and coming up through the ranks and being canine officers, and I had plenty of conversations with those guys. Kind of steered me in that right direction. So kind of glad I went through that.
Careers and the paths we choose don't come without challenges. What are some challenges that you guys have encountered along the way, and what lessons have you learned and been able to implement and maybe pass on to others as you progress in your careers?
I'm going to go first with that.
I mean, I think the challenge is as I got older and started to settle down, I think the challenge is balancing your home life, your personal life with work, because it's a big thing with the wellness program is, we try to preach and talk about it, but bringing work home is not always easy when you have that bad day. Fortunately for me, my wife is a state trooper, so she understands if I got a bad day, she kind of just backs off and leaves me alone for a little bit. But, as my daughter gets older and family members and friends, to try to separate the balance of work and life, and just to go out and enjoy yourself when you're home and try to disconnect from work is definitely important. I mean, you don't want to really bring the work home to the people, because a lot of the people, fortunately, like I said, my wife's in this field, so she understands, but a lot of other wives and mothers and fathers don't understand what we deal with on a day in and day out basis, and all the trauma that we've dealt and pretty much kept in the cloud or even the Rolodex for some of the older guys. It's just, I think that's the biggest thing is keeping work and family, personal life separate. But
I have to agree. In this field, it's just you see things, you hear things, even structural morale, just knowing to be able to step out when you go home and have that work-life balance, and having great people in your life that you can share the moments with. And I have to say, that's a nice thing about this team is, like, I've learned to have that work-life balance, but I'm also able to have those people that understand that we have those hard calls and we can talk about those, but then still go and have fun.
And you develop over the course of the years some would think a demented or a slightly dark sense of humor, but it's honestly a coping skill. I mean, if you can't remove yourself from the situation and try to find a little bit of light in the darkness, it makes it so much harder. You guys are lucky that you both have spouses that are in the first responder community. I don't, but at the same time, my wife's she's learned along the way, and has always been supportive, and has grown increasingly aware of just being around, friends and other coworkers, to see, okay, like, this is a different community. This is a whole different level of trauma that the normal, regular rest of the world doesn't have to deal with or see. And that's what makes what we do here with the Wellness Division that much more important. Biggest misconceptions about the first responder community. What are some out there that you hear frequently that you're like, that's really not the case?
you want to start that?
So misconceptions, I think, that we put on this shield and we're not human. It's like, we're allowed to have a bad day. We're allowed to have emotions. And I think that's one of the biggest barriers that, as a social worker coming into this field, is being able to talk to people and say, like, it's okay to have an emotion. It's okay to, like, know that was a messed up call, and you can talk about it.
Yeah, without a doubt.
Yeah, I mean, just piggyback off that, you're right. You, especially for the volunteers, all the fire departments and EMS, the stuff that they deal with, the trauma, the mental aspect of it. People just see the social media thing, that you go to a car accident and somebody's hurt and, they may pass. They don't think about the other end of it, the other avenue part where that first responder has to still deal with that trauma and then go home and, have their family, they might go home and they might be a little upset. They might be a little angry. They might be having some issues, and the family doesn't know how to cope with that. And people don't understand that. Like, that just going to these calls, it's just not dealing with a call. It's dealing with the aftermath on going to the calls.
Connie, from your professional perspective, what are some good techniques that the average everyday person can act in, that can put into motion in their lives to help them deal with traumas and bad days at work, and being able to separate the work from the family life?
You know, one of the things that I always say, and people probably hear me walking through the halls, is I'm like, talk about it. A biggest thing is therapy isn't just, you know, getting a diagnosis or being able to get that quick fix of like the emotion. It's about talking about it. Talk about it. Take the time for yourself. Be able to know what makes you happy, what makes you comfortable, and being able to voice like, hey, I need just a couple minutes to take a break. I talk about taking off the uniform when you're leaving work or the volunteer aspect of the job. Take off that uniform, not just physically, but mentally take it off. So when you're going home, you're not bringing that call with you. But it's still important to talk about it and know who you can talk about it with. And that's the important thing about this team, is that we're here for everybody to talk about it.
How about you?
I mean, again, I'll piggyback off that. I think the tough part about it is the older generation, the guys that have been on the job a while, it's really tough to talk about that stuff because they're so used to bottling up. I mean, it's just how we've been trained. It's just how we've handled it for years upon end. And for the newer guys coming in, it's a lot easier because they have that social worker aspect in the schools now. So it's easier for them to transition and be able to talk about it for, you know, any issues that they have. But for me, I mean, I feel like might be rare when I get home and I've had the uniform on and I get home and I change. The minute I shut the light switch off in the room that I get changed in, I go upstairs and it's like, that's it. It's just like I can turn it off like a switch now. I feel like for the most part, you know, I mean, you always have those bad days and then you go to the bad calls. It's tough. Sometimes it's tough to deal with still. But for the most part, it's just, you got to learn to be able to turn that switch off the minute you get in the door.
If you had 5 minutes with a brand new officer just coming into the department or a volunteer fire department EMT to convince them of the benefits of a wellness program, what would you tell them?
That it's okay to not be okay. And the benefits are that you have, you know, we're fortunate enough that the sheriff here is 100% on board with this and this is his baby, and that it's okay to come talk to people. This is the reason why we're here. And, you know, there's other avenues to take besides, you know, some people may divulge into the alcohol or go down a bad rabbit hole or something like that. But I think the benefits is that we offer other avenues. You know, we offer suggestions as far as, you know, going out and exercising or getting together as a group and just kind of disconnecting and going on like that. But I don't know, the avenues, there's a lot. It's starting to become endless. It's good to see our program growing now, like you getting involved in this and having the podcast set up and being able to go to the trainings and meet new people. And, we have a great wellness center coming up, Sheriff Allard in Penn. That's going to be amazing. I'm really excited to go visit that when that's done. So, that's going to be offered for first responders to get away and disconnect and have the social worker aspect of it. If you need marriage counseling and all sorts of trainings that are going to be put on up there. But yeah, I think it's easier to sell for the newer people than it is for the guys that, like I said before, the guys that have been on the job. But I think the newer guys are a lot more receptive to sitting down and having a conversation after a bad call, or maybe they're having financial problems or problems at home, so on and so forth. But just having the resources that we have, I think it's pretty amazing. You just have to get it out there and make people realize that it's a good unit and that it's going to be very beneficial.
Well, now, one thing that we, being maybe in corrections, you being on the road, we're working day in and day out with the like. We're working with our coworkers that are also in the rank and file and doing the same job that we do. We've developed that on-the-job trust with one another. Connie, for you coming in, it's got to be a little more difficult because the initial view is, oh, here comes an outsider. How have you been able to overcome that and gain the trust of the men and women that you now work with daily?
So I always think it's funny because when I first got on, Mike would introduce me as Cale Carr's wife. So, I'm not just the social worker now that works at the sheriff's office. My husband works, and a lot of people know my husband. And I also went to the academy with some people. So I felt like that worked, where I could kind of build the relationships with those people and then move along. But what I've really noticed in the past year and a half that I've been trying to dive into being more present and just like walking the halls, and it's not therapy, it's just having conversations with people. I think that's been my biggest thing, is just to meet people where they're at, have conversations. Sometimes people give me that weird look because I'm always the person who wants to make you smile, and that's who I am. I'll probably I'll stand there until you smile and I annoy you, and that's okay. I think people are getting to know me for that.
And it's still always a work in progress for you.
Yeah.
We have so many new faces coming in and out of
Right.
the building, so it's
evolving day in and day out. When you're out and you're trying to put together an external team of other social workers, clinicians that can come in and help assist, what do you look for?
So one of the things that I look for, I'm very protective of my first responders. So I want to look for clinicians that are culturally competent. I'm looking for clinicians that have family members that are in first responders, the first responder field. I'm looking for clinicians that were maybe first responders. And I don't even just take it off of, this clinician says that they work with first responders. I'm going to talk to you. I want to know, do you know what it's like to have the dark humor, or to have like just a first responder, like opening up and talking about a scene, and how is that reaction going to be? So I ask questions like that to any clinician that I vet to come in to assist.
We've talked a lot about profession. I hate sticking to sheets, by the way. It's much easier to just have a conversation. We've talked a lot of the professional stuff, but behind the scenes, when you guys are away from the job, what are some things you'd like to do? What would some things you would offer up to other people that say, hey, this works for me. I love doing this when I'm not at work. It helps me. You and I have recently got into the horrible card collecting world, which is hysterical in and of itself.
By the way, I don't recommend it.
And Connie, you are an avid Met fan.
Yes.
What are some of the things you guys love to do when you're not on the job?
I mean, we just did it the other day. We went to Renegades game. We brought the family. You made a great video, posted it on the Facebook. Just seeing, I didn't even realize you got some of those pictures, honestly, and I think that was pretty amazing. I think everybody there had a great time. Yeah. My daughter, I was so happy that she got a ball. I've been trying to push her to get into the sports realm, and she had a blast. On the ride home, she said she wanted to go back and go to another game. I don't know, it's just spending time with the family, just being outdoors. I bought a side-by-side recently, so I like to take her on that, teach her how to ride that. Golf for me, that's my out. I did that yesterday. Definitely enjoy being out there in this weather. Yesterday was a nice cool day. But I mean, as far as everybody else, it's to each their own. You know what I mean? It's right. whatever you feel like, even prior, before getting into this career. If you're one of the younger guys, it's whatever you enjoy doing.
Right.
That's your out. If you enjoy the fishing, you like going out to the reservoir and just throwing the pole in the water, even if you don't get a bite, just to sit there and watch the sunset. It's fantastic. Bike rides for people, just walking on the rail trails, going to the movies, just everybody has their own out, and you just gotta. That's what you need to focus on when you're having that bad day. You got to revert back to that.
Right. How about you?
Well, like you said, I know I'm an avid Mets fan. Love to go to Mets games, but when I'm not doing that, I love to spend time with my family, especially my dogs. Everybody thinks that my dog is my family.
They are in every way.
She is my family. Love spending time with my dog, taking her for walks. I love kayaking. Love hanging out with my friends and just being able to just chill.
Yeah. We're planning and we're doing some big things in the wellness division to help out our local first responder community and also the men and women of our department. You guys want to highlight some things that we've already done this year and are going to continue to do, and some things we may have planned for the future?
I know we last year the team got a bowling event going. It was the first wellness bowling event that was held last year, June. We raised about $6,500, which we use the money and give right back to the first responders. We do the CISM call outs. We're able to provide food, water, and so on like that. And when we have trainings, we're able to provide breakfast. When there's a unfortunately tragic incident, we can buy department's lunch. We like to drop off things to our agency. We'll buy some lunches. But we just basically everything that we do is just right back to the community, our first responder community. That's the biggest thing. Just give them a little reward. We like to hand out gift cards. We're going to be doing another bowling fundraiser coming up in September. Hopefully we can double it. We had over half the bowling alley filled last year for the first event, which I thought was pretty amazing. The sheriff showed up and couldn't believe the amount of people, and it's going to be the same this year. Hopefully we just get a lot more people. We'll invite the retirees to come play for free again, because they're like the forgotten sometimes, and I definitely want to keep them in the loop, keep them in the events. We always do the retiree luncheons quarterly. Pat Carroll does a great job with that, setting that up. And I think in the near future, one of our goals, and I know I've talked about it, is we're going to do a Zoom with some of the retirees that are living out of state. We'll bring up a big white screen and we'll just have them boxed in, and they can just chit chat. People can walk up to the screen and see some of the guys that haven't been around in years that live out of state. So
that'd be awesome.
Yeah.
This year has been full of so many cool things that we've been able to do already, and it's not even done yet. But I really enjoyed the barbecue that we did for Police and Corrections Week, where we were out there barbecuing. You guys were barbecuing. I was running the food. But I thought that was awesome just to see people come out and just chit chat with us, have a hamburger or a hot dog, and just have fun, and just to be able to step out of the building a little bit and be able to just let our guard down. I thought that was great. I loved the bowling thing, and the Renegades this week was amazing because it was something that I really strive for with this unit is I really want to bring families in again. When my husband first got into the DEP, we used to have lunches and dinners as like a group, and the families were connected. And that was one of the things that coming into this unit is that I really wanted to bring the families back together and show that we can have fun.
Yeah, and we're, like you said, we got the bowling tournament coming. We've discussed ideas for maybe family movie nights. Anything that, like you said, anything to get the people out of the uniform, out of the building, together, congregating and enjoying. We spend so much time together. I've spent more time with my coworkers than I have my wife in the last 25 years, for sure.
That's the way it is with first responders.
It really